Welcome to Sporky News Podcast. I could not load the awesome intro Culture Casino made for me for this. Even though it's only 95 megabytes, it's telling me, and you're allowed to do up to 100, it's telling me it's too big. So what I'm going to do real quick, everybody, is I'm going to share it because I freaking love it. I got to make sure I don't dox the man. And then we are going to watch this quick intro that we will use hopefully next week because he put a lot of work into it. But while I'm looking for that, I'm going to say hello to my panel. And we have Lady Tauriel. She is on her phone, so she might go even more robotic than me. But welcome to the panel. It's been a while, and I'm so glad you're here.
Hello. Yes, I'm so glad to be on. My phone cooperated with me for once.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah. I don't want to jinx it. So hello everybody on the panel, and hello everybody in the chat.
Hello. And coming in at the wire, Miss Martin Muses, you rock. I was worried I was going to have to do the Danny one myself. I was like, oh God.
I made it by the hair of my chinny chin chin. Yes, sir. Well, it's great to be here as always. I'll tell you what, considering the day I've had, I am ready to talk some Westeros. That's all I got to say about that.
You're feeling it, huh?
I'm feeling it all right. Let's behead somebody.
One of those days. All right. And my partner in crime, the great, the one and only, the voice of the fandom menace, Jayne Theory.
Hey guys, I'm so excited to be here, to be back, and I can't wait to get started.
It has been about, 2 weeks almost, huh?
Yeah, it seems like it. It seems longer.
It has been a while, guys. I can't believe that, but you're right. All right, I am going to share this. Hopefully I can do this and it'll look good. Nothing about his name is here. Okay, great. Let us watch this intro that he worked on and I truly, truly love. So here we go. Now, can you guys see it?
Yes.
Is it like you can see? All right, it's not fuzzy? All right.
No.
If I could hit the unmute button, how awesome was that, huh?
That was freaking
That
cool.
is so dope. Yeah,
wow.
He did an awesome job. And that was like his third, right? That was like his third or fourth attempt at it because I kept giving him some, little changes and he did exactly what I wanted. I mean, I love it. I love it. When I become a massive YouTube star, I will hire the Culture Casino as my what would he be? Like not visual, but
media consultant or
guru?
something. Yeah,
my CMO, chief media operator.
Yeah.
All right, let's say hello to who is in the chat. We have the great Adega Outlaw, and I will keep pumping his stream with 14 Barber. It is on 14 Barber's channel, I believe, every time on Saturday, and I believe it's always at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's just different topics, strange, topics. They discuss things anywhere from poltergeists to ancient civilizations to the moon landing to aliens to just science and fiction and really cool stuff. So please check them out. If someone can put that link to Adega and 14 Barber in the chat, I'd love it. The great Jayne Theory. Hi, Jayne. One of my fantastic members is Storyman Jack. You might know him as George B.D. Lucas. He says, howdy, everyone. And for as little as $2, the price of one Walton's Best Coffee, you can be a member today. And I actually believe, I hope I'm not, yeah. The lady herself is one of my members. Look at this. Thank you for being here. I'm so happy you're here. Let's see. We got McKinney90, one of the greatest mods in the game, next to our dear friend Tommy. And McKinney says, good evening, everyone. Deviant Porg, a.k.a. Palanuki's up in this place. Adam Price. We have Adam Price. Hi, I'm Donkey. You might recognize me from my adventures with Shrek. I don't even know what that means, but I love it. Now, StreamYards doesn't show us this 149 sticker. I'm assuming it's the unicorn. So, and I forget what we call it. What is it? What do we call the unicorn?
I don't remember.
Yeah. See, you and I don't focus on those things, but
you don't want to know what I call it. I said you don't want to know what I call them. Hi, Culture.
People have so many names
for
it. And like, it's just
I know. It's so great, though. He's also a channel member, and I appreciate that. What's that? What were you about to say?
Yeah, I call them horny horses. So
horny horses. That's a lot nicer than what I assumed you were going to say, because I would have gone deep with that one. One of my favorite name for any YouTuber is Brutal Morningwood. Hail indeed. Sorry I'm late. Was chipping away at Culture Casino's watch hours and tan to feed the dogs. And thank you guys. Please. All you got to do for guys who hit the 1,000 mark, I think Jayne is one of them. Culture's one of them. Damaj and I've been doing it for. You go to their page, look at their videos. You don't even have to go to the playlist. Just hit play all to their videos, and it will you can mute it, walk away. I gave Damaj and I 24 hours today, so you guys can help. A couple of us do that. Even right? 10 people, that chops away so much a day, and people will be monetized in days, not months. So please, guys, help out. And definitely Culture Casino, Jayne Theory, and Damaj and I, who is an original Fandom Menacer, and he's not even monetized yet, which is ridiculous. Rennie A, the sweet lady, hail everyone. I just realized I'm with all ladies tonight. This is great. Michael Jolin, why candy corn? I was off 2 weeks and candy corn, candy that. It happens now. Right? It's the second Halloween in a row where the great Fandom Menace candy corn debate. I am team cancel candy corn.
Right.
Jayne,
right? Yes.
Ladies, what are you guys?
I'm team cancel the candy corn debate.
Nice.
Me too.
Oh my God, look at that. Look at that. I think this is the first stream where everyone agrees candy corn is garbage.
Why
it's so terrible.
Terrible.
Actually, I rather like it.
Candies.
And I actually side with all of my friends, no matter what side they're on. So I'm a very bad representative.
Well, this isn't like our society today, where if you choose a side, you have to hate the people on the other side, getting divorces, killing family members. This is a debate, and we could all be friends. Even though Stephen Walton is dumb, I'm still his friend.
You're not going to be canceled for liking the wrong thing.
Right.
That's true.
What were you going to say, lady?
And if you see any of my tweets, you'll know that I'm a Reese's person. So give me the peanut butter cup.
I love a good Reese's peanut butter cup. Mason is in the house. Mason actually joined us 1 week, right? That was me and you, Jayne, like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, that was really cool.
He did a great job. He has his own channel, though I don't think he does. His channel is opposite from what he uses here. He should really start chatting with his channel name, but we're working with him. We're getting him there, and we'll probably have him on again on this Monday night stream, because he knows his stuff and he enjoys it. So that's all I care about.
He's a great reader too.
Yes. I need great readers. Who else do we have? Nick. I've been seeing Sam a lot. It's good to see Nick. Hey, everyone. Hope you're all well. Thank you, my brother from down under. Hope all is well with you guys. Let's see, as people are still coming in. We got Bone. Thanks to Jayne. Bone came to my chat, and he's been a dedicated guy ever since. Hey, Rennie A. LOL.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Bone's the man. Mm-hmm. And we got, there's Sam. Sam saying hello to Rennie. Everybody's saying hello to Rennie. Hi, Rennie. And the Time Prophet. Yeah, Rennie's great. She's a great supporter. You know what? I have to say, the people in this chat, my Game of Thrones chat, are usually my most devoted, subscribers and fans. It's weird to say fans, but like people that follow the channel. They come to almost every stream, and I appreciate that. The Time Prophet, another great YouTuber, guys. We have a lot of content creators here. All you have to do is click on their face, I think, and it'll let you subscribe. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Not on my phone, but on the computer it does. Rousa, I've been missing you. Hey, everyone. She's my friend from Europe. That's all I'll say. I won't dox her. And I think that's all we got. So, all right, we can jump into this. Ladies, these 3 chapters we have, we start out with Dany 8, I believe.
Yes.
I didn't write it down. Dany 8, Arya 7. Or is it Arya 8? I think it's Arya 8.
It's 5, I think, huh?
Oh, really? That low? No, you might be right. I can tell you right now. It is Arya. Yes, Arya 5. Okay, so we go Dany 8, Arya 5, and then Bran, I think, is right around that 5 mark too. Yes, I usually I know everyone does like the
Bran 7.
4. Yeah, Bran 7. I'm sorry. Everyone uses the numbers. I've gotten so used, because we're doing this, to do it by chapter, that I really got to work on that. But what did you ladies think of these chapters?
I think they were really good, especially Dany's was really informative. Arya's was more emotional. And Bran's was your sort of standard cryptic. How I would describe all 3.
Very well put. How about you, Miss Martin Muses?
Well, I thought that the Dany one and the Arya one, they were horrible to read, especially the Dany one. Actually, I found that really, really disturbing. It was disturbing in the show, but very, very difficult, very dark. And then, of course, seeing Ned's fate through the eyes of his daughter. That was
what a choice, huh?
Yeah. Wow.
We'll hold that till we get there, but that was a yes. And what about the Bran one?
It was Bran. I mean, maybe it's just me, but right now my eyes are still glazing over often when those Bran ones come on, because I'm like, what the actual F is going on?
I gotta say, for me too, Bran in the first book is more of, to me, letting us know what's happening in the North until the towards the very end. I feel like he's just our eyes, so we know what's going on at Winterfell in the North while Robb is going south.
Yeah.
But we'll discuss that more when we get there. And Lady Tauriel, what do you think?
I love Dany. That has so many different things going on and so many meanings. Arya is more to me like of things to come, and Bran is double meanings, but Bran's chapters to me are always double meanings.
I know. I can't wait to hear your take on his chapter. I am really I'm impressed. I'm impressed for someone. When did you start the books? Was that April or May?
Oh gosh, I don't remember.
I want to say it was mid-April, and you have finished the books.
So. Yeah.
That's so awesome.
I finished the book.
Yeah. So for everybody to know, Lady Tauriel is with us. She has to use her cell phone, so if she goes a little robotic, you're all used to it. It's my channel. You should be used to robotic by now. So if she falls out, she's coming back because I want her knowledge in this show. But we're going to start with Danny, and that is Miss Martin Muses is going to read that summary, and we'll listen to that, and then we'll come back and discuss. Real quick, I'm sorry. We usually focus, take the summary from Westeros.org, and they have a great summary. It's almost like a wiki of Game of Thrones. I think actually they do call it that, but it's Westeros.org. So if you want to follow along, we don't always take it word for word, but you'll be able to watch it. It starts it with chapter 64. All right, take it away.
Alrighty. Khal Drogo is looking drawn and swaying in his saddle. He makes no reaction as the large blood flies circle and bite him. This concerns Daenerys, who is used to seeing her husband catch the hated insects with his hands, quick as a snake when they come too near. Drogo tore off the poultice Miri Maxter had prepared for him 6 days ago, complaining that it itched. Instead, he used a soothing mud plaster of the herb women. He had also been drinking poppy wine, fermented mare's milk, and heavily, but not eating much. At night, he thrashes violently, and even the kicking of their unborn child no longer seems to interest him. As Daenerys reaches for him, Drogo reels from the saddle and falls heavily to the ground. Daenerys rushes to him, only half conscious and struggling in her arms. Drogo insists that he must ride, for the Khal who cannot ride is no Khal. Now Drogo has fallen from his horse, and it has been seen. When Drogo's blood riders come up, Daenerys commands that they will halt for the day and that the slaves be called to erect Drogo's tent. The blood riders are not happy with either command. The region is not a camping ground, and a woman cannot command. Daenerys insists that Drogo will punish them if they do not obey her commands. Obey her, and commands Quotho to find Miri Max. I'll just call her Miri Max. Sure. Once the tent is erected, Daenerys and her headmans bring the feverish Drogo inside and bathe him. But never mind, he's dying. So, okay. Finally, Ser Jorah Mormont arrives with word that Drogo's fall is known all over the camp. He asks Daenerys to send her maids away and breaks the plaster from Drogo's wound. The wound has festered and is rank with corruption. Ser Jorah declares that Drogo is beyond saving and they must flee before he dies. Daenerys asks why she should run, since her son will be the Khal after Drogo. Ser Jorah explains that the Dothraki follow only the strong. The Khalasar will not follow a baby. Instead, the Khos will fight for the leadership, and her baby will be killed as a challenge to their authority. Daenerys insists that her Khos and Drogo's blood riders will keep her child safe, but Jorah reminds her that the blood riders' last duty is only to return her to the Dosh Khaleen and Vaes Dothrak and then follow their call. Daenerys does not want to return to join the Dosh Khaleen, but she also refuses to leave Drogo. Miri Max Dur arrives with Quotho looking exhausted. Both Quotho and Hago, taking one look at Drogo, blame the godwife and start beating her. Yikes. When Daenerys demands that they stop, Quotho threatens to take Daenerys out to be raped among the Magi. I know I'm butchering these. It may have maxima culpa. Ser Jorah intervenes, and eventually the blood riders leave. After they leave, Ser Jorah explains that the blood riders die with their call and are now beyond fear because they see their death approaching. Daenerys tells Ser Jorah to don his armor. Once the night has left, Daenerys tells Miri Max to heal Drogo. The godwife states that he is beyond help and will be gone by morning. Daenerys pleads with her, insisting there must be a way, a magical way. Miri Max admits she does know some dark magic learned at great cost from a blood mage from the Shadowlands. It will cost a life. Daenerys asks if it means her life, but Miri Max assures her it does not. They lower Drogo into a bath and bring his stallion into the tent. Drogo pleads with Daenerys not to use forbidden blood magic and to allow him to kill the Magi. It takes Rothharo and Quaro and Ago to force the frightened stallion to the tub while Mirimax chants. The godwife uses a red bronze knife covered in glyphs to cut the horse's throat and fill the tub with blood. The godwife then orders Daenerys, who is now filled with fear, to leave the tent. No one must look upon the old and dark powers the godwife's spell will take. Outside, the gathered crowd stares at her. When Ser Jorah, now in his armor, sees the bloody footprints Daenerys leaves, he asks what foolish thing she has done. Daenerys can hear the Magi's voice and sees the shadows moving inside the tent. The Dothraki start to mutter and draw back. Drogo's blood riders return with the healing eunuchs. Then Quotho sees what is happening. When Quotho sees what is happening, he moves toward the tent, intending to kill Mirimax and then Daenerys. He pushes Daenerys aside as she tries to intervene, and she screams for her cost to stop him. Quaro is quickly cut down, but Ser Jorah steps forward to confront Quotho. Without his helmet, the knight is hard-pressed by Quotho's rapid strikes. Then Quotho, Akraki, oh man, these names, cuts into Ser
They're
Jorah.
rough.
Yeah, I'll just go.
Yeah, I know. It's don't even worry about it. Just hand signals. We don't even have to see it.
Yeah, then Quotho cut into Ser Jorah's hip and catches him on the bone. Ouch! Giving Ser Jorah the opportunity to kill him. Meanwhile, the other Blood Riders and members of Daenerys' cast have also come to battle. Drogo's whip catches Hago around the neck, giving Rothharo the chance to kill him. Daenerys is hemorrhaging from the birth of her child and crawling toward the tent, screaming that the price is too high. The Blood Rider, Kotholo, catches her and is about to kill her when Ago's arrow takes him in the chest. When Daenerys raises her head again, the crowd is dispersing. Some are saddling horses and riding off as the sun sets. She cannot rise, and the shadows are whirling inside the tent. Ser Jorah comes to assist her and calls for her handmaids to get the birthing women. Daria informs him that they believe Daenerys is cursed and are gone. Then she hears someone, possibly Ago, telling them to take her to the Magi. Daenerys knows she does not want to go into the tent, but cannot speak. Irri and Daria both agree that they heard Mirimax says she knows about birthing. Ser Jorah carries Daenerys into the tent. Dun, dun, dun.
Can I usually throw it right to you, ladies, and thank you so much for reading that, but can I just throw this out there?
Yep.
With everything going on inside that tent, why the hell would you bring her in there? Like,
what?
And
that's what she's thinking. She's like, "Do they not see the tent? It's like, do they not see what's happening? Why are you taking me there? This is insane."
Right.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, exactly. Lady Tauriel, let us in on what you thought about this chapter.
Oh, this chapter was something else. When it's the part of do whatever, to me, was the wrong thing to say, because you wondered about this woman from when they saved her in the first place.
Right.
And her magic, you always have to wonder about, because she never let anyone in, even when they came into the city.
Right.
If you saw that. And then when they brought Dany into the tent, I mean, there's people dancing around inside the tent, but there's no one in the tent.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Shadows.
And it's like, you're going to take this woman in there, and you were told no one was to enter.
Right.
So
right.
What came into Dany, even though she's birthing, the spirits, and then after they bring Dany in, you'll notice that there is no more ghosts or spirits to be seen on the tent.
Oh, I did not notice that. Oh wow, Jayne, what did you get from this chapter?
Well, see, there's this debate about whether Miri was responsible or not, for what happened to Drogo, whether this was her plan all along.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing: what people I think sometimes ignore is that there were things she said to do that they chose not to do. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the thing, the poultice or whatever it was called that she put
wrapping.
on Drogo's wound. She told him to put it there. It burned, but it should. Which, I mean, that's in the real world. You know, sometimes treatments hurt, and he had him take it off. So even if it were poisoned, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but he had them replace it, which means they would have cleaned the wound and then put on the new stuff that they had that wasn't as good, most likely, probably.
Right. And the wine.
He was drinking. He was drinking. I don't think you want to necessarily do that.
Well, it was like opium wine he was drinking, if I recall right. And she said like no milk of the poppy or wine.
Fermented milk of the mare's milk, pepper beer. I mean, he was just getting plastered, you know, which is not going to help you heal. And then, you know, this don't go into the tent. And here she goes into the tent. Now, granted, it was against her will, but, you know, like they didn't listen to Miri. So whatever she had planned, they did their own thing.
The exact opposite.
Responsible. Exactly.
What about you, Miss Martin Muses?
Well, after what Jayne's just after pointing out, I think now we know why he fell off his horse. The dude was just drunk. But yeah, I think I need to read the next chapter to maybe get a verdict on the Mary Max, whatever her name is, but Jayne's right. They didn't follow the directions. But holy crap, how disturbing was what they did to the horse. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, everything about it was, like they said, dark magic. And it was like a bad Halloween satanic seance ritual, whatever. Everything was just wrong and disturbing about it. And when Ser Jorah says to Dany, let's get out of Dodge, I was like, go, please, go.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Well, think about this. And Nick touches on what I was going to say. Is it possible that because magic hasn't been part of the world for such a long time, they just didn't believe anything was actually happening, all smoke and mirrors? And then Time Prophet kind of follows that up and says, over the years, magic would be forgotten and become a legend. Now, in the world of Westeros throughout this entire first book, we really have not seen anyone other than her do true magic. So, and the only magic she was really doing was a healing spell. So you don't see anything with that. So this is like the first time with all the chaos going around, with people fighting and dying and defending Dany, I think no one was thinking straight. And that's why they walked in there. But I feel like Mary Masdul did plan all this, but not the, like, I think she knew that Drogo wouldn't follow the directions, but I also think she did it to put Dany on a path. And we'll find this out in later chapters. I think this is part of something, right, Lady Tauriel?
Go ahead.
Yes, I was going to say further on in the books. Yeah.
Right. You see the connection, correct?
A big connection, but I can't say anything right now.
See, now that you read the books, Lady Tauriel, you know how hard it's been for us.
Oh yes. I still haven't seen the show, but yes.
Well, don't see the show. Just read the books. You're good. Just to throw this out there to the chat, for anybody new who I don't see anybody new, but if you are new, this is a spoiler-free stream, even though many of us have read this multiple times. We're trying to read it like we're reading the first book for the first time. So You can spoil up to the end of the first book, but we really try not to even do that. We try to go chapter by chapter. And Jayne, what were you going to say though?
Yeah, it's okay. So this concept of magic being new,
Mhm.
I kind of Danny brings up this issue about the horse and how she ate the horse's heart during their
Correct.
ceremony
Right.
to justify what they were doing to the horse in this instance. So
Mhm.
I don't think the type of they were aware of this type of blood magic. They're aware of magic, and they're
Yeah, but is
aware
that
of
magic or okay?
what I'm getting
But
at is
where
the theatrics of it. Like, I think that they don't like it, but I don't think they necessarily would have been like, ooh, what is happening? I think they knew what was happening. They just didn't
right.
agree with it, and that's why they wanted to kill her.
Well,
And it also
Go
goes
ahead.
to show this is yet something else that
Yep.
Danny didn't listen to. Like they were telling her, kill
Oh, they
these
were
women,
terrible.
and she came up with every excuse why not to.
Right. Lady Tauriel, you were going to follow that up?
yeah, but also in the Dothraki society, like a lot of the hunter warrior class, that eating the heart of the victim or the animal that you kill gives
Mhm.
you the strength of that animal also.
Right. And I was going to say that it's also more of a tradition thing than a actual thinking they're doing some true form of blood magic. It's like if she could choke this down, it means the baby will be strong and masculine. But I don't think they really think or believe she's maybe the Dothraki do, but I don't think anybody looking from the outside in would think that's actual magic. This is the first time we're seeing spirits dancing, flames and chanting, and it's it's like a rave in there, and I just don't think they knew what the heck was going on.
But
It would, yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say I don't think we brought up the images or the things that were dancing, but I don't think they were named for no reason. Like it's sort of like when shoot, I guess I can't go that far ahead. But anyway, the shapes that we saw were at least two things were named. One was a wolf,
Right,
and one was a man in flames.
right.
So I think
I was
those things aren't for naught. Like I think those
right,
things that she saw maybe were prophetic or had some other meaning or significance.
or part of Mary Mazdul's Mary, whatever the heck her name is, plan. That's
Right.
like she brought that into that tent to either bond with this magic, the path she wants to put Danny on, going down. We'll see the connection, at least with her, to other characters in the books.
But it also
Miss
has
Martin,
that
oh yeah, go ahead.
it has that north-south dynamic thing, the
Oh,
wolf in the north and the old gods potentially, and the fire and the
R'hllor.
R'hllor.
Yeah, were you feeling R'hllor from the fire one? That's what I was getting, like almost like that was the embodiment of R'hllor there. I didn't know if maybe it could have been like just the idea of the what's going to happen in the next few chapters with Danny herself, or is that supposed to be the message from R'hllor, like you will be good, this will happen to you, but you'll be fine?
I hadn't thought about that way.
Do you understand what how I'm saying that?
Yes.
Yes.
Like it's okay. I hope I was saying that right.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Yeah, and I can't help but thinking about the theory that I believe Stig said about something that happens later that goes along with what Lady Tauriel said about what went into Danny at that moment.
Well, right. You can talk about that theory, Miss Martin Muses, because that happens in this book. So
yeah,
if you
well,
want
the theory is that that what actually happens with Daenerys at the end of the book when she essentially dies and rises, that it was at this moment that jump-started the magic, I guess, like these spirits. And if these spirits are like the spirit of the north and the spirit of the fire thing, I don't know the lore as well as you all, because, you know, I'm kind of reading this I'm reading the book for the first time. But if I'm correct, wasn't it the fire people that could come back to life? Those priests and the red woman and all that? Was that
fire whites?
Yeah, fire whites. Yep. But now I'm starting to think something different with this. It could be not pointing at Danny. It's a fiery man with a direwolf next to him. Think of who that could be, and who needs that. Both those gods.
That's the connection. Yes, that connection is.
It's pretty blatant that it's him. But I
kind of
also think about it. Think what happens at the end of that book. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to think who it would be. I mean, if you're.
I'll write it in the private chat.
Okay, write it in the chat. Yeah.
And you can't say it.
Right. Okay, we'll leave that. Now let's talk about the beginning of the chapter. So they didn't follow the rules that Mary Mazdul put forth for Drago. They're riding the horses. He falls off. Then things start to happen. What did you think about how Danny reacted, how his Blood Riders reacted? How did you guys see that? Why don't we start with Miss Martin Muses?
Well, I thought that Danny reacted very much like the little girl, where she was like, "Oh no, you know, Aquaman, I love him. Nobody saw that, did they? We're going to pretend we were just camping." And that she was thinking like, you know, a little girl and her husband, the man she loves, the father of her child. That was all she thought about. And at the same time, Jorah's like, "Dude, we're all gonna die. Let's get out of here." and that the reaction of the Dothraki was very much in keeping with their characters. They were like kind of vultures a little bit, like time is up. Oh boy! And the ones that are loyal to Aquaman will go ahead and die with him. I think that's what part of the tradition is. And the others are starting to sharpen their swords and stuff and going, okay, kids, let's get going. We're going to see who's the most manly man and who's going to live. And they were getting ready to carve out the baby right out of Danny's body. Right. Yeah.
True toxic masculinity. Just the way I like it.
Well, you know,
that's their culture, isn't it, though?
Yeah, their culture, absolutely, yeah. Because think about it. If you have a call that can't ride a horse, it's not just them being sexist and toxic. It was a survival thing. It was like, we will die. You know, you have to have a strong leader. Maybe they were a bit harsh about not having a retirement home for them once they couldn't do it, but that was their culture and that was their life. It was to the death. And that's what Drogo would have wanted too. That's the other thing. I kept thinking, Danny, I don't think this is what Drogo would want.
Well, think about this too. This is the last time he talks in any of the chapters, and it starts where it ends where it began. He first started on their wedding night. The first thing he said to her was no. And it was a lot of us. I read that chapter, that first chapter, as him being respectful and them bonding on their wedding night. And it wasn't like a forceful thing like they did in the show.
Yeah, it wasn't rapey.
Now the last thing he says is no. When she starts talking to Mary Mazdul to do these things, no. Like he's begging her, but she can't fathom him not being there. She's lost everybody, you know, like. And he was the first person to make her feel strong and free from the abuse she's had her whole life. And it's just such a poetic thing where no was such a loving thing in the first chapter to no is the heartbreaking, I won't let you go, but please let me go. You know, like, I don't know. I found that interesting. And real quick, Nick brings up a great point. We're just assuming everybody saw the dancing that Danny saw, the spirits and stuff like that. There was so much chaos. Some people might have just thought there were shadows, you know, and just didn't even see really what was going on in the tent.
That's a good point too, because she actually says, you know, but she asks or wonders why they don't see it. So they literally may see nothing.
Ooh.
oh God, I was muted. That to me, I think that he has the point. I think that's really what it was. There was so much confusion. I don't think Jorah, after he took a knife wound to the leg and just killed a man, is thinking, "Oh, that looks like a fiery man and a direwolf." So very good point.
It might be that there wasn't anything there, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like it could have been her having a vision.
Right.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
I love that. Rousa has one. If all the seemingly connected characters, no spoilers, are working to get her on a path, did the eggs throw a curveball that derailed everything, or were they part of the plan? I think the eggs are definitely part of a plan. We lost her.
Definitely, especially given their history or a plausible history.
Right.
Definitely.
So that's fantastic. You brought that up. For anybody who has not read Fire and Blood, these eggs we're 99% sure. I don't know if George has said yes, but we believe these are the eggs that is it Melissa Farman or what's her name? She was a lover of I'm forgetting everybody's name right now. But these eggs we've been able to track. They were stolen from the Targaryens, from one of the princess's lovers. She took them on a voyage west and were said to have sold them to get supplies in Essos. And now these eggs are coming back around. I believe the eggs were part of it because the person who gave them to her is part of some type of plan. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And do you think not every character knows they're on part of this plan? I feel like Mary, Mazdul, and a couple other characters might know because they've been to a Shai. They've dealt with magic, but like the cheesemonger didn't know giving her the eggs would would happen. He just thought they were nice looking stone objects, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now hold on. Fire, blood, and shadow seem to be the key magical ingredients Valyrians are known to hold each in high esteem. That's absolutely right. And don't forget, fire, blood, and shadows are a big part of R'hllor. R'hllor is not just like fire, because fire creates shadow. They believe he's also the Lord of Shadows. And to Nick, that what you put in the chat, that's what I'm thinking too. I'm not going to highlight it, just, Oh, here we go. Melissa Farman. I was right. Melissa Farman and Annie's widow. Gotcha. And then the Time Prophet has to say, everybody's really coming up with some good stuff. Other than Dany's brother, can anyone tell me what happened to all the other Valyrians? Yes. For the majority of them, there's these novellas. It's called Dunk and Egg. Aegon Targaryen becomes king of the Seven Kingdoms. And when he's king, this is about 90 to 100 years before this story where we are right now, he wanted to bring dragons back. And there was something happened at Summerhall, which was the Targaryen like summer home. And it was like in the Dornish Reach area, like right on the line. And there was a massive fire killing almost all the Targaryens, except for Dany's dad, Dany's mom, and Rhaegar was born on that day, her brother. So there was maybe a couple others that were in Essos, but they're really not part of this story right now. But they all died. But Sir Duncan the Tall saved Dany's mom, and that was a big deal. But I kind of want to talk about Dany in this one. I know there's a lot going on. Drogo falls. She thinks she can kind of like sweep it under the rug. And like you were saying, Miss Mark, she tried, right? We're going to camp here. Hopefully no one saw that.
Yeah.
But they're starting to understand what's going on. Is it Dany still being smart, or is it Dany not realizing the Dothraki way, how people that seem to treat her okay can turn on her so quickly because of their society?
it was her not understanding it. I was just ready to kill her. I was like, girl, it's right in front of your face, you dummy.
But she did. I mean, one aspect she understood was the consequences of him falling, which is why she tried to cover it up so quickly. And she also understood she had to be strong, which is why, despite Coral, whatever his name was, saying he wasn't going to do this, and he's not going to do that, she maintained control and said, yes, you are. Do this, that, and the other. And he respected it. He didn't like it. And he didn't like her. But under the circumstances, he had to do it. And she knew that. So I like that part of it. The only thing I think she didn't understand was there was no passing it on to her child. It wasn't a crown to pass from one person to their heir. So she didn't understand the politics of it. But I think that her knowledge of the culture helped her buy time.
Right. They, if I'm looking at it correctly, she assumed after all the celebrations and everything that they all agreed he was the stallion to mount the world, her son. But once it needed Drago to get, or Drago. Oh my God. If he died, he died. It takes Drogo. It wouldn't needed Drogo to live long enough that her son could have made it to fighting age. You know what I mean? Like no one would have just accepted a baby as their leader, like in other kingdoms.
Yes.
Or regent, there's no substitute.
Exactly. It's not it's not Westeros.
No.
You're gonna say something there, Lady Toriel?
Yeah, because they're such a warlike culture. It's always the strong and the fit that lead and survive.
Right.
And she was torn, like you guys were saying, between the love of him and also knowing what laid in store, but yet she couldn't say goodbye, even though she was gaining strength and she wanted to save her child.
That's the biggest thing too.
Yeah, that she wanted to save the child, and hopefully, even though she was coming to understand their ways, she wasn't okay with their ways when it came to showing weakness.
Right. I almost felt like a little of it was she's been told their ways, but when it came down to it, she didn't think that they would actually do it towards them. Like, that was for other calls in the past. This is different. And then she got a rude awakening really quick. Real quick to the chat. Last I checked, the Targaryens aren't even a high Valyrian family. No, they weren't considered. That's why he left. One of the reasons. I mean, I know it was Danny the Dreamer had a vision, but one of the reasons he left was because they weren't considered a high family. So it was easy for him to take his family and leave because they didn't have as much to lose by leaving Valyria. Danny, the Time Prophet says Danny's supposed to be smart, but very often very gullible. Yes, she wants to believe the best in people at the beginning, at least. Yes, Sam, and exactly. She's 13. We got to remember that. It's not the beautiful Emilia Clarke. It's a 13-year-old girl.
That's the hard part where it differs, I guess, from the series compared to the books.
Right.
You have to remember the age of all these people.
Right. The series, they up-aged them at least 3 years, at least. You know, so that's a big difference between a 16-year-old and a 13-year-old.
And that's why I give her so much credit here, because she was so young, and to know, look, put up the tent, we're camping. It's his idea, like
right.
That was quick thinking.
It's hard because you forget about that when you get involved in the story, but then you think all these people. I mean, if you look at the Starks and everything, these people are 12, 13, 14. I mean, can you imagine if you were set in that situation at that age, when you were that age.
Right. I mean, Arya's like 8 or 9. You know, like she's very young in the books.
We also have to remember, though, too, that society was young. I mean, if it was like our medieval time, people didn't really live much past 40. So
right.
Everybody was young.
Yeah, I mean, once you flower as a woman, you're a woman. You know what I mean? Like in this culture, like our medieval times, once that happens, you're a woman. Not today, though, people. Not today.
Yeah.
Remember that.
Yeah. We are not in any way condoning.
Not even close. I just want to give a quick shout out to the memes of destruction. He always stops in, hangs out in the chat. Great dude, great channel, smart guy. Please make sure you guys check out his channel. And also the great fat Steven Seagal, the king of memes. He is here. And he will be my guest on The Dump on Wednesday night. He'll be joining the panel. So please, guys, make sure you check that out. That's at 7 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. The Dump is definitely not for snowflakes. And while you're at it, please like and share and comment in this video. I'm getting good at that. Anything else with this chapter? This is one of those chapters you could talk about for a while. I mean, think about, all his blood riders know he's about to die. So they're getting aggressive because they're supposed to ride into the freaking hereafter with him, So, and in their mind, they have to avenge his death if they feel like someone caused it. And who else not to blame but Miri Mazdul. Yeah. So Dany is trying to have people protect her. That makes her even look worse because his blood riders blame her for killing him. So like there's so much going on.
Yeah.
Dany handled it. I'm going to say Dany handled it better than I thought. Even rereading it recently, I still thought she didn't handle it well. But after talking to you ladies, she really did.
What I will say is she didn't ask enough questions. When Miri talked about what she was going to do, Dany asked, would her life be required?
Exactly.
And Miri said no. But she never asked about her child. And when Miri said, human. Right. And when Miri said we need the blood, she wasn't very clear on whether she was talking about the horse or the child.
Right.
So Dany did allow herself to get tricked, possibly, in this situation too, because she didn't ask.
See, I still read it. When I read it, though, sometimes I read it as if Dany never walked into the tent, it would have been the horse. But that's why I think this was almost planned for Mary to end up in the funeral pyre, because she could easily have said, this isn't my fault. I told you not to come in. But she does say, do you think a horse is worth that, the price of the call? So it's almost like she doesn't put the blame on Dany. She puts the blame on herself, So we'll get to that when we read that chapter. I really, that's one thing that makes me believe this was all a planned thing from her.
Well,
she
and
could have whistled her way out.
The spirit too could have chosen when she came into the tent. It may have had the horse and was like, "Oh, wait, here's a better option here. We'll take that."
Right, true. But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying Miri Mazdul could have just used that as her reason why it's not her fault the baby died, but she doesn't.
Yeah, that's true.
Remember, she doesn't. She could have probably saved her own life, but she didn't, because Dany was still like, why did this happen? Why, and she pretty much gives Dany the ammo for using her in the fire. So that's what I'm saying. It's almost like she wanted to.
Yeah,
think she had some foresight, maybe, of what was to come.
I don't know.
Theories.
Exactly. So many theories, but we need to move on. We've been on this theory for almost an hour. So let's, any last words on this chapter or anything you really wanted to cover before we move on?
No, good.
I think that's it.
Good.
Okay. So we have, guys, I know you're all going to be happy. We have Jayne now reading, so be prepared. And she will be reading the Arya chapter. So whenever you're ready, take it away.
Alrighty, let's see. Arya is catching pigeons on the street of Flower. Compared with catching cats, pigeons are easy. She uses her wooden practice sword to knock one from the air and snaps its neck. After taking the pigeon, Arya walks by a cart filled with tarts. When she asks for one, she's charged 3 coppers, but she doesn't have them. The man also declines to trade for her pigeon. Arya uses the seeing taught by Serial Pharrell and decides she could steal one and get away. But the seller guesses her intention and points out the 2 gold cloaks close by. Even though they are paying her no attention, the sight of the gold cloaks ties Arya's stomach in knots, and she lets the man pass. At the Red Keep, which she avoids, Arya can see the heads riding on spikes. There are all sorts of stories among the small folk. Lord Renly killed King Robert and fled, or the king died hunting a bear, or the king died eating a boar, or the king was poisoned by Varys or by the queen. The stories only agree that the king is dead. Arya wants to leave King's Landing, but the 7 city gates are either closed completely, open only to entering, or closely guarded by Lannister guardsmen in gold cloaks who search everything and ask questions. Once she considered swimming the river, but the current is treacherous and she cannot afford a ferry or a ship. Arya imagines that if she can escape to the countryside, she can dig for roots, find orchards, pick berries, and travel north. There are pot shops in Flea Bottom where she can get her birds cooked or exchanged for some bread or stew, but the people in them seem dangerous. Arya has even been chased a couple of times when leaving, probably for her boots or cloak, but she outran them. She often goes hungry rather than endure the stares of the people in the pot shops. The first night she spent on the street, her silver bracelet and her bundle of good clothes were stolen while she slept. All the thieves left her were the clothes and cloak she was wearing, her practice sword, and her real sword needle, which she was sleeping on. She misses her brothers. She tried to talk to the other children, but must have talked wrong, likely with a northern accent, because the young ones all ran away, and the older ones asked questions, called her names, or tried to steal from her. One girl, twice her age, even knocked her down to try to steal her boots and was rewarded with a smack from Arya's practice sword. On her daily circuit to check the city gates, Arya decides to go to the riverfront on her way to the Mud Gate to see if she might be able to stow away on a ship. The wharfs are too quiet. On a pier, she sees men in the livery of Winterfell guarding a ship. She learns from a passing longshoreman that the ship is called the Wind Witch out of Myr, which is the same ship that her father contracted to take her and Sansa home. As she approaches the ship, Arya suddenly remembers to use the seeing the serial taught her again and realizes she does not know the guards. They call to her and she plays the part of a boy, trying to sell them a pigeon, knowing they will recognize her if she runs. The ploy works, and they send her away dismissively. Somehow, Arya finds her way back to Flea Bottom and discovers her pigeon is gone, either stolen or dropped. Then she hears the bells of Baelor Sept and wonders what it means this time. From one of the passerby, she hears that it's a summoning, and from another she hears the gold cloaks are carrying the hand of the king to the Sept. Arya follows the masses. All around her, the townsfolk are discussing her father and the rumors of his treason. She pushes through the crowd and finds herself next to the statue of Baelor the Blessed, the Septon King, and climbs up so she can see. From this vantage point, she can see her father supported by 2 gold cloaks in a rich velvet doublet and a gray cloak, his face drawn with pain and thinner than Arya has ever seen. With him on the pulpit are the High Septon, King Joffrey, Queen Cersei, the Hound, 4 other members of the King's Guard, Varys, Littlefinger, and Sansa. Arya wonders why Sansa is there and why she looks so happy. Then her father makes a speech in which he confesses that he betrayed the trust of King Robert. A stone from the crowd strikes him, causing a gash on his face, and more stones follow. The High Septon intones that Blessed Baelor taught mercy along with justice and asks Joffrey for his verdict. Joffrey declares that his mother and his betrothed have requested that Lord Eddard be allowed to take the black. Then he declares that while he is king, treason shall never go unpunished, and calls for Sir Ilan Payne to bring him Eddard's head. This causes an uproar around Joffrey as the High Septon, Cersei, and even Varys protest the decree. Arya jumps to the ground, drawing needle, but the crowd quickly engulfs her. She sees Sir Ilan raise ice. He has ice. And hears Sansa screaming. She continues to fight toward them using needle to cut a path. A hand shoots out to grab her and hold her tight, forcing her to drop the sword. The smelly old man who has grabbed her tells her not to look and calls her a boy. Then she hears a soft sighing noise. Arya looks at the smelly man and recognizes him as Yoren of the Night's Watch, who talked with her father. He tells her to keep her mouth shut and that she's coming with him. Yoren shakes her hard when she tries to speak. Once the crowd starts to disperse, he hands her back needle, saying that he hopes she can use it. He keeps calling her a boy and does not give her the opportunity to deny it, insisting that she's trying to say she's not a smart boy. Yoren shoves her inside a doorway, and a blade flashes at Arya's face. She wrenches back her head, but cannot escape because Yoren has a strong grip on her hair.
That's the chapter that changed my life when it comes to fantasy novels.
Yep.
Why don't we start with Jayne? Why don't we start with you? That was your chapter.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you feel about that one?
It was just so, she's going about her day. She's having a hard day. She's having a hard week, a hard time. She's sort of on the run, on her own, trying to survive, scraping by,
Right.
getting into fights, starving. And then, as if it wasn't bad enough, she sees this. And there's some interesting things too, like Sansa sitting up there smiling like a crazy person. Then she sees
she now from her view, yeah, but Sansa's smiling because she thinks she got, Joffrey, her betrothed, listened to her pleas and her dad's going to take the black. And now we finally see the real Joffrey.
She never should have thought that. She never should have thought that.
She's a moron.
She is. And then Yoren, one of the things I didn't notice before was, like, I thought it was her idea to play being a boy, but this reminded me that it was actually something that was told to her, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
Or
yep.
happened to her, I guess.
He forced it upon her. Anytime she tried to correct him, he just, grabbed and, told, what are you trying to say, boy? And,
Just smart. Really smart.
Yeah, it's like, are you dumber than a rock? Well, didn't he even say you're not a very smart boy?
Yes, yes.
Duh.
He said it multiple times, I think. Even they did that part in the show too pretty well. And this poor kid is in a crowd, and I forgot she's slashing with needle, trying to get through the crowd. She's stabbing people, she's hitting people. Now needle is more of a pointing, a thrusting blade, but still it's a blade, and I didn't realize that because again, in the show, she jumps down and he grabs her right away, but no, she's fighting. And to think, one of the last, she does hear her sister scream, but one of the last things she's going to see is her sister smiling.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of stuff going on there, and I don't know. What do you think, Teresa?
Well, I actually thought that it was more shocking in the TV show because it was more from the perspective of just how dramatic it was with Joffrey delivering those lines.
Right.
And everyone
right after that kid.
Out. Yeah, here, since it was through the eyes of Arya, you didn't quite get the urgency, perhaps, except for the fact that they were saying even Varys was like, what's going on?
Right.
Hello, what? And then not seeing it from Ned's perspective. on that.
Right.
Moment.
I think you have a valid point. This was a great scene for the show.
Yeah.
Because you're not seeing it through the eyes of a little girl. You're seeing it as like, an above view. You're not even seeing it from Ned. You're seeing it from multiple directions, omni, whatever they call it.
And from the audiences, from the crowd's reactions too.
Yeah.
Right,
and it was,
true.
and it was needed to do that for the show. I mean, and I did prefer it that way, but because that was probably the first way I experienced it. But I could see how, if that's what you were reading, you're like, what? Huh? And then you finally realize, wait a second, I'm about to see a beheading. And yet it took a while because Arya, being a little girl, didn't quite catch on.
Oh, God, I love his writing. I love how he could see it from that little girl's view. He writes so well. Lady Tauriel, what did you think?
I liked it because she has brains above all these people. It's interesting to watch. For such a small child, she grasps things so fast and can change with the tide. She doesn't, she's not like her sister. Her sister is naive. Her sister still believes in all the songs and all the fairy tales. And Joffrey being, because he's king and she sees him through these rose-colored glasses, that everything will be all right if she's just a good girl.
Right. And if she uses her lady, the teachings of how to be a lady, right?
Yes. She believes all that until that happens. And then I think she's stunned into reality, and that's her first glimpse of reality.
Yeah, she didn't even catch on when they were imprisoning her. And Jayne is all crying and hysterical. She didn't even catch on then that they were screwed.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Jayne Poole. Poor Jayne Poole.
Poor little girl.
So crazy.
But yes, Sansa, I don't think up until right then that her fairy tale became busted and she started living in the real world.
Yeah. Real quick, everybody, AFK Bard in the chat. Please check out her channel. It is dope. She is a huge, she's a fourth waver, and she is awesome. And she streams a lot with, Thomas Gilkey and others. And I'm going to have her on one of my streams soon, too. Hopefully she'll want to come on. But, okay. So I love Yorn. Go ahead, please.
Oh, I was just going to say, Arya's like to take charge. She wanted to take her sword out and kill everybody.
That's what I love about her. You see the difference in the sisters, right? You see the difference in the sisters coming down the King's Road, where Arya wanted to be out and seeing the people and riding the horses and playing while Sansa wanted to be in with the queen and that, not seeing anything, just in that little small bubble.
Right.
And it's amazing the difference of the two sisters.
She wanted to be a queen.
But I just can't get over just this chapter killing, like Adam Price said. I read it. When I read it too, Adam, I thought the same thing. Like, nobody kills their main character. Something's weird. He's going to come back. He didn't really get his head chopped off. Oh, yeah, he did. He got his head chopped off.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
With ice.
Amazing.
With ice.
Oh, yes. Thank you for bringing that up.
That hurt. That hurt me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the biggest insult they could have done to him.
Right. And even worse, the man who gave it's supposed to be the man who brings the justice, swings the sword, and it wasn't even that with ice. No. So they disrespected ice in the Northern Way by Joffrey telling Ilan Payne to swing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was inevitable. We've been seeing this coming, that Ned had the Grim Reaper hanging over his head almost from the very first chapter. It's one of those things that maybe you didn't catch it the first time, but when you go back and look at it again, you can't unsee it. You can't unread it. It's just there.
Good
It's
way
like
of
this
putting
guy is doomed.
Yeah.
Well, wait, but it
Take a second. Oh no, you're back now. Okay, try that again. What did you say?
in a way you could see it, but a lot
You're real robotic. Is she robotic for you guys?
Yeah, very.
Okay. Just take a second. You're just a little robotic right now. God, I want to hear what you have to say too. But I think Rousa says great. I think Arya's youth helps her. She relies on her instincts, which saves her. And I think that's huge.
And being small too.
Yep. And yes, and not looking like a woman yet. You know, we always hear how Sansa's growing into this beautiful woman. Well, Arya's lucky that she doesn't look like a woman because she now can pretend to be that boy.
Yeah.
It saved her life.
It's
straighter.
safer to be a little boy than to be a little girl in that world.
Right. So
out there.
when you have Ned saying to Arya, you know, your sons will grow up and be princes and you'll be the head of the household. And she's like, that's not me. Not being a lady and not looking like a woman saved her life. I never even thought of that. Lady Tauriel, how you doing?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Oh, way better. Way better. What were you going to say?
Let's see if I can get back on my train of thought here.
No worries.
Okay, it left because I got robotic.
Oh, don't worry about it.
The robot stole your thoughts.
Yeah. We were talking about Arya.
Ned getting beheaded.
I think that the foreshadow in this is like it's Lady Caitlin basically started all this.
Yes, she did.
And Ned just got caught up in all the repercussions of what had happened.
Mm-hmm. Let's not forget. Go ahead.
Even though they were plotting against him, which you already saw and knew, her one act triggered everything.
Right. It's actually even goes back before that, if you think about it. She's the one. He did not want to go south. And she's the one that says, you do not deny a king. Now, everybody forgets that because in the show, they flipped it and made it him saying he was going south and her warning him not to. But no, in the book, it was her and Sir Maester Lewin's idea. And I worry about that. I always thought there was something going on with that, but I guess
yes, it's like she's the catalyst that started, and he's the one who ended up paying the price.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Real quick, let's see what the chat's saying. Rosa, she says Sansa is at an age where she's more influenced by culture, and that's absolutely true. And even that, she's 12, right?
Yeah, and I give her a little bit of leeway because they did expect to marry her off. That was going to be her thing. So being a princess or a queen or whatever was going to be her fate, probably. So
be the queen. That's a big deal.
Yeah, but I think, she loved those stories and all that. And that's how that's what that was going to be her life. So looking forward to it makes sense. It's just that once people started dying around you, that's when you should figure it out.
Everyone dies. Yeah.
To give you a clue, when your father's sitting in jail. I mean,
yes, in a place called the Black Cells. That sounds scary, know. And I still go back to her, like thinking about Jayne being a little crybaby. Like people are dying everywhere. Their whole household is getting murdered.
Bodies in the hallway.
Oh my God, so crazy, so crazy. Yeah, wear a mask if you don't want to catch a robot. And then we got Time Prophet with Robot Tauriel. A PSA brought to you by Sporky News Podcast. I don't know exactly what we were saying with the PSA, but I love it. I love it.
Yes,
I just like that.
hail robots on this channel. It's
Exactly. I have nothing else with this one. Do you guys have anything you'd like to bring up?
I do one point.
Yeah, please.
Cersei, Varys, and the Septon were in opposition and said so.
Mm-hmm.
That, Varys usually doesn't stick his neck out.
No.
And he stuck it out in that moment.
I'm glad you're bringing this up.
I found that interesting.
Yep.
Well, I mean,
because he said he doesn't stick his neck out.
Right, exactly. And Joffrey, you have Varys, you have his, Queen Cersei, Sansa. Everybody's asking him to let him take the black, making it sound like it's a good idea. Who was the one that might have talked to him to make him change his mind? That's the question.
The one who didn't say anything.
The one that didn't say a word. Was he even there?
Yes. He was specifically named. And
he was that. You're right. And he said nothing. That should tell you something for the guy who says something. Let's see. Anybody?
Hershey's has a candy corn chocolate bar.
Okay. They have like a candy corn. There's candy corn like M&Ms too. Like, come on, people.
Gross.
Yeah.
It's like pumpkin spice. I don't need pumpkin spice, car wax. I don't need it all. Just stop. Pumpkin spice coffee is fine.
No, I do like pumpkin spice stuff.
But... Oh no, I'm not gonna lie to you, but they're going really far with it.
They're going too far with this candy corn crap. I saw a pumpkin today that was decorated like candy corn. I almost threw it.
That's blasphemy. I almost threw
it. Yeah, I can't say I love pumpkin spice because I just got a pumpkin spice roll. Yummy, yummy.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. It's when you get like pumpkin spice green beans. You got some issues. Sansa actually that might work if you do it right. Sansa is actually good at the lady of the house role when she gets the chance to do it. Yes, very good. And we see that in further books. She falls into it too easily, I think, and she forgets. The game is afoot.
Northern ways.
Oh, it's what Rennie's bringing up. What I was trying to think of: pumpkin spice mac and cheese. Yeah, that's disgusting. That's disgusting, people.
Actually, that sounds kind of good.
I can't do it. I can't. I don't even like mac and cheese with that box.
But that's what I'm saying. It's boxed mac and cheese with spicy, like pumpkin spice. It's not like someone artist made it. Yeah. Oh, forget that.
Sounds like it was made by someone that was pregnant. I mean, that's like total pregnancy cravings right there.
No, that's Kraft. That's Robert Kraft's company saying, "How can we cash in on this?" That's what that is. Yeah. Anything else on this chapter, or should we jump into the next? All right, we'll jump into the next. Yeah. All right. I will be reading. Hopefully, let me know if I go robotic. You have to tell me because I'm not paying attention. This is Bran 7. Bran is watching Sir Roderick Castle train the new young recruits in the yard of Winterfell. Maester Lewin is taking measurements of the comet through his lens tube. Oh, is this the first mention we get of the comet? Or did Danny mention it?
I don't know.
I can't remember now.
I thought the comet didn't show up until the second book. Wow, I totally blanked on that. Oh no, I'm sorry. Towards the end of this book when the funeral pyre. Okay. Well, he's taking measurements of the comet. Bran comments that the recruits do not fight very well and is told that Lord Eddard took the cream of the guards with him to King's Landing, and then Robb took the rest away. With all the likely men for leagues around. Men are needed to walk the walls of Winterfell. Bran stares resentfully at the boys below, remembering how he knocked Prince Tommen down many times. Then Bran suggests that he could fight from Hodor's back, but Lewin dismisses the idea as impractical. Bran talks about the blind knight Simon Star Eyes, but Ludwig insists that it's only a story and that Bran must put his dreams aside. The mention of the dreams reminded Bran of his new dream, of the three-eyed crow, a dream that was very sad. He tells Luwin how the crow brought him down to the crypts and his father was there. His father was sad because of Jon. When he woke up, Bran wanted to go down to the crypts to see if his father was there, but Hodor would not take him. Luwin tells Bran that Eddard will be down there someday, but not be for many years. Bran insists the dream was real and that his father was there. In order to dispel the boy's delusion, Maester Luwin calls for Osha, who tells them that she has lived beyond the wall, so a hole in the ground will not scare her. Because of Osha's good behavior, her chains have been removed, but the shackles remain to show she is not totally trusted. She carries Bran in her arms, but he does not mind. The vault seems very dark and gloomy. Summer and Osha seem uncomfortable. When Bran states that the men represented by the granite statues were the kings of winter, Osha tells him that winter has no king. If he had seen a winter, he would know. They proceed down the long corridor past the statues, but Summer refuses to leave the steps. Bran tells the accomplishments of the different lords and kings: Jon Stark, Rickon Stark, Theon Stark, Brandon the Shipwright, Brandon the Burner, Roderick Stark, Torrhen Stark, and Cregan Stark. When they get to the end with the statue of Brandon Stark, Lyanna Stark, and Lord Rickard Stark, Luwin sticks his arm into the future tomb of Eddard, and Shaggy Dog springs out and savages Master Luwin's arm. Bran calls for Summer, who slams into Shaggy Dog, knocking the wolf off Luwin. Osha goes to assist Luwin as the wolves fight. Rickon appears at the mouth of Eddard's tomb, telling Luwin to leave his father be. When Bran tells Rickard father is not there, Rickard states that he saw him last night and that he is coming home. Luwin, now looking unsure, tells Rickon that Shaggy Dog was supposed to be in chains. Rickon replies that he does not like the chains, and Luwin states that he is now the third man Shaggy Dog has savaged, and it will only be a matter of time before he kills someone. Bran calmly states that they will wait in Maester Luwin's tower, which Luwin states is quite impossible. Osha replies that Bran is the Lord. Rickon agrees to come if Shaggy comes to. Maester Luwin reluctantly follows. They enter Master Luwin's cluttered turret, where Osha bandages the wound, by following Maester Luwin's instructions. Luwin tries to explain to the boys about the logic of them both dreaming the same dream. He says that Rickon is too young to understand, to which Rickon states he's four. Then he tells Bran that he is old enough to know the difference between dreams. Osha adds that some dreams are just dreams and some are not. The children of the forest could teach him something about dreams. Bran starts to go into the story of that old man told about the children of the forest. They knew the songs of the trees, flew like birds, swam like fish, talked to the animals, and made beautiful music. The maester says that men who trust in spells duels with a glass sword. Luwin takes out several arrowheads made of dragon glass or obsidian, which the children of the forest forged. He tells them that the children use shirts and woven leaves and greaves of bark in place of armor and carried blades of obsidian. Osha commented that they still do. Bran and Rickon each take some arrowheads. The children lived during the Dawn Age, before the coming of men in the land now called the Sun Kingdom. They lived in the depths of the woods, in caves, crannocs, and secret tree towns. Their wise men were called green seers and carved the faces of the werewolves to watch over the forest. No one knows how long they reigned or where they came from. 12,000 years ago, the first men crossed the arm of Dorne before it was broken. The first men were mounted, tall of stature, and wielded bronze weapons. The first men chopped down the weirwood trees to build holdfasts, and the enraged children of the forest started a war. The green seers supposedly used dark magic to make the seas rise and break the landmass that is now known, now the broken arm of Dorne. Finally, a truce was called, and the leader of both races met at the Isle of Faces in the God's Eye. After the pact was forged, the green men formed to keep watch over the Isles of the Faces, and the first men eventually adopted the old gods, worshipped by the children. The sign of the pact ended the Dawn Age and began the Age of Heroes. The pact started 4,000 years of friendship between the children and the first men. While the kingdom of the first men endured, so did the pact, all through the ages of Hero, the Long Night, and the birth of the Seven Kingdoms. Ooh. Eventually you get the Andals. They come with steel, fire, and 7-point god, which is the god of the sevens. The war lasted for hundreds of years, and the Andals burnt most of the weirwood remaining in the south, slaughtering the children where they found them. The children fled north. During the story, Osha added that there are still children north of the wall, and also giants and other old races. Maester Luwin is not happy with Osha filling the boys with folly. Luwin's tail is cut off when the two direwolves start howling. Now Bran is sure that he knew it. The direwolves quiet, and the blooded messenger raven appears. Even Maester Luwin is not sure he wants to know what is in the message. Bran, hugging Rickon hard, asks about the message, and Osha tells him he knows, while putting a hand gently on his head. Maester Luwin reads the message and tears up as he tells them that they will need to find a stone carver that knew their father's likeness well. Whew. All right. Did I go Robo-Spork? I guess I did. A little bit. All right. Ladies?
A little bit briefly.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Okay. All right. Good.
Sometimes I'm never sure if it's me or not. Yeah.
You know what? It's not a stream if I don't go Robo. So,
That's true.
Whatever. All right. So let's start with Miss Martin Muses, because we didn't start with you last time. What did you get out of this one, which is a full of information chapter?
Yeah, I think that's possibly why I was saying earlier I really wasn't entirely sure, because it was almost an expositional thing going on where it's like, let's all pause and tell a big long story about people I'm not even sure who the heck they are.
Right.
The Andals and the lore of all that. I'm assuming that later on we're going to see more of those and what that's going to mean to the show.
Let me tell you about the Andals. It's easier with the Andals because it doesn't ruin anything. The first men were the first men in Westeros, and they fought with the children, had the pact. Mm-hmm. From Essos came the Andals. The Andals fought the first men, conquering some kingdoms, marrying into other kingdoms, and most of the people south of the neck are Andal blood. It's really only the north was the only place that the Andals couldn't conquer. So that's why they still believe in the old gods. The Andals are the seven, which is the main religion of Westeros. And they conquered pretty much everywhere, but I don't know if they even conquered Dorne, but they did get their foot into Dorne. But everywhere else, except for the Iron Islands, they conquered. So pretty much everyone you see, the Baratheons, the Lannisters, they all have Andal blood. So that's who the Andals are. So, but the story of the children and all this, the back history they're giving you is very important for later books.
That's what I figured, yeah.
Yeah. Lady Tauriel, you're probably fresh with that now because you just read all the books. Do you think this is an important chapter, correct?
Oh, very important. But I've always thought the trees play an important part in this.
I agree. Another thing I found interesting is that, and I'm going to be honest with people, it's not brought up in any of the other books, but I'm spoiling a little bit, but I don't really think it's a spoiler. I think it might come in on this new book coming out in 20-something. Rickon had a prophetic dream. And I wonder what that means for the future. Because we see with Bran, he's having these prophetic dreams. He's having these dreams about the three-eyed crow. What is Rickon seeing? He's 4. He can't explain what's going on, but he had a prophetic dream. And I think that's very important. And I think people because the name of his direwolf, don't think he has an important role to play. Because a shaggy dog story is a story that goes all over the place and seems really important and turns out to be nothing. I don't agree with that. I think Rickon might be kind of important, at least for the next book. I'm sorry that I went there, but let's get back to this one. So, Jayne, what did you get out of them? You know, is it just really story telling us exposition and, you know, showing that the kids have some power, or what?
Well, I think that he was explaining to them what their dreaming the same dream meant, right? And
Right.
I think he had to do it in the form of this story because they're children, and also because he had to sort of tie for them and for the reader this connection between this old power or the roots of it and them, and you know, their people today, and who they are and why they're different from
and why they exactly why they believe they still follow the old gods, why they're called old gods. You know, they give us a lot of information in this chapter. You know, you find out why, you know, for a long time, you're like, why are they old? You know, they say they're the old gods and the seven are the new, but why? And this tells you why.
And the green seeing and the pact and the relationship between the first men and the children. And it's interesting too that Osha was aware of them, as well as she says other races existing beyond the wall. So they didn't die off. They're still there. And that was an interesting thing too.
Maester Lewin, being a man of science and a learned man, doesn't believe her.
Yeah, he doesn't believe it.
Yeah.
But I think part of him may. I wonder who he's trying to convince, you know?
Yes. Oh, perfect way of putting it, Jayne. Is he trying to convince himself? Because he's one of the only maesters you see with a Valyrian steel chain. Link. So that means he studied the high magic, you know, he studied this magic. So is he trying to convince the kids or himself? Very cool. Good way of putting it.
Protesteth too much, perhaps.
Exactly. I love how all this. Right, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say the wolves too stood out.
Very aware.
Yeah. Shaggy seems to be hyper aware of something.
Right. A danger.
To Ned, maybe.
Oh, shoot.
Oh.
I know where you're going with that. That is. The crypts are something important. Yeah, right? The crypts are something important. And every time we're in the crypts. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and I was going to say, and then the chapter actually ended with the announcement of his death. So perhaps that's even driving it home some more.
They howled before the humans got the news.
Exactly. Like knowing that they're going to actually hear the written like account. That's, you know, in Osha, I love how Osha goes, you already know what this is to Bran. Like you already know what this letter says. Like she believes, she knows he's special for a Southerner because she considers them Southerners. What I also get from this chapter is because of Osha is that the North isn't a true example of people that worship the old gods. It's the people above, beyond the wall that are a true example because they still believe that it's not just a religion. It's real. You know what I mean? Like it's not faith.
Well,
it's real. Exactly.
They've seen children. So, you know, they've seen the giants and these other things. So they know it's real.
Right. I mean, we see a White Walker at the very beginning of this book, and then we don't see him ever again. You know what I mean? So, like, she was fleeing south for that reason, and we sometimes forget that. That's one of the things. But she says race is
right.
So it's not just even the White Walkers. What else is there?
And for me, the Northerners, the people of like the Starks and all of them, I sort of never, my perspective on them was always that they were the two combined. So it made sense to me that their culture would sort of have elements of both because they're first men.
Yes.
So they have the old
Mhm.
blood
Mhm.
from that past,
Mhm.
history, pre-Andal. But
Mhm.
they also mix to some degree with the Andals. And I think
Well,
what we
there's
see,
people from the Erie in their blood.
right. So I think that they are sort of I don't want to say bastardized version of the old ways, but
Right.
it's yeah.
They're not a true first, even though everyone says they're true first men. You really have to be above the wall to be a true first man.
Right.
Yeah.
Lady Tori, you had something to say?
Well, if you've noticed that every time they're down in the vaults, even before this,
Mhm.
that Shaggy Dog and Rickon are very agitated
Right.
every
Right.
time they're down there.
I'm telling you, I think Rickon, and this is now for people that haven't read the books, this is me not knowing because it hasn't come up, but I really think Rickon's important. There's
I
something
do
about this little
too,
boy. Mm-hmm.
I think he's the most powerful
but
one.
I do
if
too.
you see if you see him and his wolf, it
Mhm.
reminds you of chaos.
Yes. Wow, that's a good way of putting it. I mean, who's affecting who more? Is Rickon's emotion affecting Shaggy Dog or is Shaggy Dog affecting Rickon more? Because the other kids, don't realize as much as their animals are sensing them almost telepathically, most of them telepathically. Rob doesn't realize it, even though they say he fights as one. They almost seem like they're fighting as one. John has a sixth sense with ghosts, but it's Rickon who has actually made the connection first.
Now Rob, I
Mm-hmm.
kind of think does understand because he does fight with his wolf, and he has
Right.
him do things, that are
Without saying.
without saying it. So I think he kind of
Mm-hmm.
gets it.
Yeah.
But
Valid point.
I also
Go
think
ahead.
that OSHA is very important going to be because she knows things, but she's very sparse with her words and only gives out what she thinks they need to know to put them in the right direction.
Let me ask a question. Is she like a new old Nan?
Mm.
See, that's what I think.
Yeah, because Old Nan, if anybody wants to read these books and haven't, Old Nan is what she says. I would take pretty much 99%. Okay, that might be real, even though there's stories. Osha kind of has that same, to Master Lewin, it sounds like she's telling stories, but she's telling history.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like an old Nan in a way. I never thought of that until just now with you saying that.
Yeah, I think she has a big part actually to play still because she's very quiet, and the only time you hear her speak is when she's speaking of lore
Mm-hmm.
and things might be to come.
Right, and she speaks without like a like there's no hint of her not believing it. Like she speaks as this is known. Almost like, the handmaidens, this is known. Like you're morons for not believing this. And I love that about her. And
Yeah,
now
but
that
she's very.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
please. No. You're my guest. You go, please.
She's very sparing with what she gives out, if you've
Yes.
noticed.
Oh, very
Through
much so.
everything, and only to certain people, if you've noticed that also.
She really speaks directly to Bran.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she'll argue with Maester Lewin about their beliefs, but when she speaks to Bran, she speaks matter of fact with him. She knows.
Yes.
She knows. But then think about, and I don't want to spoil anything, but think about where she ends up in the next few books.
Yes.
That's why that's important, right? Oh my God. I want to spoil everything right now. Actually, sporking can never be true. Oh, it's about my robot. All right. I thought that was a question. I'm sorry. Like when I first read this book, I didn't think this was, I kind of breezed through this chapter like, oh, here we go, history. Even though I love history of things, but I had to go back to this chapter before I got like the history books and stuff like that of Westeros. And it's a very important chapter. And I'm glad we got to read it tonight.
To me, I don't know. I have the little thing about the trees. And the trees are very, very important to me. And I think they will be way further on.
Yes. And I completely agree with you.
One thing I'd forgotten was that the children were all over the continent. And when they started being killed, they fled north.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. North is important. And don't forget that then they talk about the pact, how they got the deep woods and the caves, but man got pretty much everything else. And then they talk about the Isle of Faces, you know, and where the pact was signed now. The Isle of Faces is dead center, Westeros, an island in the middle of that lake right on the coast of Harrenhal, you know, right there, which is has a lot of history. And I don't know if they actually bring up the Order of the Green Men in this chapter, but there is an order of green men who protect that Isle of Faces with those weirwood trees. And I have a theory about that island, but I'll tell you backstage when we're done.
Yeah,
it has to do with the trees.
It's hard not to say anything.
Yeah, it is, but I love not saying anything because it makes you try to think of things differently and say it. What do you think of the weirwood tree at the Eyrie? That's a really... Are you talking about the weirwood throne at the Eyrie? Or are you talking about like... Yeah, I think that has connection. And I think Robin, who we'll meet in the next book, is an important character, even though not a lot of people do. If you want to watch great videos about Robin, check out, I don't know if you've watched him ever, Lady Tauriel, but Preston Jacob. Preston Jacobs has great, I don't agree with everything he says, but his theories are out there and they're awesome.
No, I'm just starting to go through some of the things like Jayne put the link in, and I've been looking at some of those, and it's interesting. And
you would really like him. Start with his very first video and just keep going. I think you would really like him. He's the one who came up with the theory of Dorne, which is a fantastic theory. AFK Bard talks about it. This is the one they transplanted and tried to grow. The soil is just very thin up there. It's very rocky, and the air is thin, and I just don't think it would take in the mountains. But does it have symbolic? That's a thing I wonder, a symbolic, because where the Andals landed was the Eyrie. So that is, the Seven's landing spot. So I wonder if that has something to do with it too. Because, oh God, I can't go there. We're going to have to do a theory. I wonder if maybe next week we should just talk about this on a theory stream instead of we got to finish the book first. So anything left with these guys?
Well, I mean, I'm looking forward to perhaps reading this in the next book, because I almost am feeling like why are you doing this to us? The book is almost over, man. Come on, George R. R. Martin, because to me, it's just like it's adding information that my head's already exploding enough. If you know what I mean.
Oh,
Happy Dinosaur.
Teresa,
sorry,
you
Happy
are
Dinosaur is one of the nicest guys. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Teresa, you are in for more head exploding things that you can not even possibly see. Trust me on this.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
My head is I keep going back, and I've finished all of them, and it just keeps popping back into my head all the time with theories of what I read. So you're in for a real treat.
Look, I don't care what happened with that show. I don't even consider that show a part of what we're doing. A Song of Ice and Fire is a masterpiece in the making. I mean, he's going to finish the books. When he finishes the books, it will be, to me, the greatest fantasy series for me of all time. I haven't read a lot. I love Tolkien and Lord of the Rings, but to me, his subtle slips of information and how he makes us all go on these crazy theory paths. He's just a genius how he writes. He's a genius. Happy Dinosaur. It's good to see you, buddy. Thank you for stopping by. One of the nicest Twitter people in the world.
Well, I mean, I'll grant you that, but give me a little dig here. I will compare him to Tolkien if he could do what Tolkien did, which is finish it.
I'll give you that. And don't get me wrong, Tolkien it's different. They're different. To me, this is they call them both high fantasies, and in a way they are, because if you think about Tolkien's writing, how much magic did Gandalf really use?
Not a lot.
Not a lot at all. So there wasn't a lot of magic, but there was a lot of magical creatures and magical ideas. This is more about what he writes about is the heart and conflict. That's what he believes is the most important thing of the story. And he just hits the nail on the head. I'm like drooling. It's been 10 years almost, or about. Like, I just want the next book. I can't wait. And he'll finish the last book.
And maybe I'm feeling a little bit impatient with this part of it is because of what happened in the series where I tried to understand it and then it came to nothing.
Right.
So, so maybe I just got to cleanse that part of my memory.
No, that's true.
Realize that this is kind of what we started to see in the TV show, which they didn't finish that part at all, and it was the biggest waste of time and humanity. They never explained any of that. But so that's probably also biasing me.
Yeah, I'm with you. Sam puts it good. I think George R. R. Martin, will finish them too. He's just writing everything out of order first. He'll make everything make sense during editing. I like that. And then time profit for you, Miss Martin Muses. Miss Martin Muses, Tolkien didn't have a color TV to distract him. So true. I mean, if that show didn't come out, he would have been done probably with these books. But without that show, he wouldn't have. I don't know. It's a catch-22. But I hope he finishes them. I really do. I don't want to see somebody else finish it. Thanks, Spork. I greatly appreciate it. And then Happy Dinosaur writes, "Hey, Sporky, can I get you to say these following words? Dino lives matter." Yes, sir. They do. All right. I think we can wrap it up. Anything left? Let's first, these 3 chapters. For once, they did flow. But, well, at least the Sansa into the Bran one had that had like an obvious, thread. But you got with Dany, you got Drago, God damn it. I'll break you. Drogo Bojan, once again, a powerful, strong male figure that you think will still be around, dies or dying, like Ned beheaded. Characters that you thought might have meant something further down the road might not mean anything anymore. It's him waking you up to this isn't your grandma's fantasy novel. What do you ladies think about these 3 chapters? We'll start with Jayne. Jayne.
Well, along those same lines, you have the 2 heads of 2 families rolling.
Rolling.
And everyone else is pretty much having to struggle to figure out where they're going to do next and where they're going to go.
That's good. Yeah.
It was just sad. I mean, these were probably the saddest set of chapters.
Yeah,
across the board.
The Danny one tracks out too. It's like 3 chapters worth of
and magic, super magic, with both the Starks and with the Targaryens.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very informative. I think we learned a lot about the different cultures and the history. And yeah, just it let you know that this was not your fairy tale. This is not going to have a happy ending.
No. Thank you, Jayne. How about you, Miss Martin Muses?
It's hard for me to say. I think I've said a lot of it earlier. I felt almost like these were 3 very different chapters. The Daenerys was leading her towards her end, if you will, and then we saw Ned Stark have his, and then that right turn or left turn, whatever you want to think about it, of the stuff with Bran and the stories. I can't say necessarily what I think. I guess that's a long way of saying I'm not entirely sure what the hell. I mean,
that's all right. We don't need answers.
Yeah.
We don't need answers tonight. Thank you, Lady Tauriel.
It brings you back to the bitter reality of what exactly this throne represents to different houses.
How do you mean? That's an interesting. I like that statement because you do see that with Dany, and then the Lannisters, and then the Stark. I like that.
It's the Starks are wrapped up in this unwillingly. And it evolves from there as the books go on.
Yeah.
The Lannisters, are in play to win it all. You see how that goes.
Right.
Dany has been brought up with this idea in her head to take this back, and now she's fulfilling the legacy that was left to her. And they're all coming at it from different directions, and the throne means different things to these 3 different houses.
Right. That's good. I like it. Thank you for that. All right, we're going to wrap it up. Guys, that was a lot of fun, ladies. I had a good time. That was sometimes I don't think they're going to be that exciting of chapters to talk about, and they turn out to be like, we do this every week. Why do I say this? But every week it's lots of fun. So thank you, ladies, for coming. Thank you to the chat. Let's do our outros. Lady Tauriel, you want to tell them about your channel at all?
I have a small channel. I do kind of like music videos for right now. I hope to expand out to be doing some live streams and have great guests on like you have in the panel. And for the people in the chat that are just marvelous, I try to bring a little smile to your face if you stop by my channel, hopefully you enjoy it.
Oh, thank you. We enjoy your view on things is fantastic. So thank you for coming. I'm glad it worked out tonight that you were able to stay on with us.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well,
And
thank
next,
you for having me.
oh, of course, you're always welcome on this stream. Miss Martin Muses.
Oh, well, my channel, Miss Martin Muses, where I muse on books, movies, anything that catches my fancy, travel, cats. Currently, I'm doing a bit of a series on Once Upon a Time, going back through the first 3 seasons of the ABC show. I've had many marvelous guests, including our Bard. She joined us to talk about Captain Hook. Also, I've been doing some writing series, and so I've had many guests, including our Stig. So please come and check us out. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you as always for being here. I appreciate it, and I'm really. This was a great panel, so thank you. And we will go with the next great one. My partner in crime, Jayne Theory.
Hey guys, you can find me here on YouTube, where I post weekly movie and television reviews every Sunday at 6 Central, as well as some occasional pop culture news and commentary. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jayne Theory.
Oh. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm just going to finish it off, guys. Tomorrow night we have TR4, and I believe there's going to be a special guest or 2 on TR4 tomorrow night. Some maybe OG channels, so please keep your head up with that one. That'll start at 6:30. But TR4 is only going to run about an hour tomorrow, because after that, that'll be on Stephen Walton's channel. After that, we'll probably go on to, I believe it's going to be Final Death Star's channel for the more political people. We're going to stream the debates. So if you guys want to check that out, sure. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Gosh, you're a brave man.
Make sure you guys are, subscribed to everyone. And then Wednesday night, we'll have the new Wednesday night edition of The Dump, which is the Humpty Dump, with special guests. Yeah, I love that.
I'm sorry, I had to. That was actually funny. I didn't know that. That is hilarious.
That's what it's called, the Humpty Dump. And that's with Fat Steven Seagal will be our guest on Wednesday. So, guys, I hope you have a great night. This chat was awesome. Thank you to you all for being active in the chat. I really appreciate it. You guys rock. But let's stick a fork in it. We are done. And I should have had what I wanted set up, because that would have worked out perfectly. That's like my new saying. Stick a fork in it. We're done.